you guys doing? Welcome to One Thing for Sure, Two Things for Certain. It's your host, Logic. And today I have an honored guest, Manny Molina. He is a martial arts instructor of Muay Thai. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yeah, there's a name there. It's Muay.
Muay Thai.
Yeah.
There we go, Muay Thai. Thank you for correcting me. Instinct Muay Thai, which is established in 2022. He basically trains fighters for professional or hobby. Please introduce yourself.
Hey guys, name's Manny. I'm a coach.
All right. So let's get into it, man. I find this very fascinating. So tell me about yourself. Did you always basically study martial arts, or you got into that as you got older?
I'm a late bloomer, I think. I started when I was 20.
20?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I think because you hear about all these fighters, and typically they all started when they were younger.
Yeah.
So I think 20 was pretty old. 20 or 21 is when I started.
Well, yeah, because, again, like, when you hear about, like, fighters, they start off, like, as adolescents, like,
Typically,
kids.
yeah, like Lomachenko and all those people. They've been doing it since they were 8.
Wow.
Yeah, I think, or 10 or something like that.
So at 20, like, did someone bring you into it, or you?
I wanted to do martial arts when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But we didn't have money. So
it is expensive.
I used to ask my mom and my dad if I could do karate and taekwondo and all that stuff. We just didn't have the means for it. And I was playing Street Fighter 4 with my friends. Mm-hmm. We used to compete, like nerdy as fuck. We would compete in Street Fighter at like local tournaments for money and stuff.
Oh, like.
Yeah.
So like at the conventions.
Yeah,
and
like
stuff.
we were practicing.
Oh, wow.
With each other. We used to play because it was fun.
Yeah, I'm thinking arcade.
No. Yeah, I mean, and then we would go to like Arcade Odyssey right down the street. They would host tournaments on the weekends. Comic-Cons would have tournaments. Just whatever we could find where we could just like test out our skills with other people. Mm-hmm. We weren't like super good, but we would win the local tournaments sometimes.
That's a hell of a defeat, man, because think about it. I don't think people understand, like, it's pretty big into that whole thing. Like, I worked at Best Buy at one point, and Geek Squad, and they're all into that.
Yeah.
There's a whole convention. There's groups. I seen videos on YouTube where you see them competing, and someone gets cocky and they don't finish the combo, and then it goes. It's essentially a show, because when you're basically competing on, you don't know what's gonna happen. And I seen dudes basically come out with the old school joysticks.
Yeah.
But me personally, I'm old school, bro. I have the cartridge. I just Street Fighters.
I got you. Yeah. I mean, so they're pretty much like just a more complex version of the old school Street Fighter. It still plays the same, but we were playing that, and I'm pretty sure it was me who brought it up because I'd always wanted to do it. I was like, "Yo, we should do this shit in real life. We have money now. Like we're 20. We all had jobs at the time, And I was like, I want to do this. And they were like, yeah, all right, let's look into it. And we did some research, and I thought that I was going to get into Taekwondo. I didn't know about Muay Thai at the time. And I've always wanted to like learn how to kick and shit. I thought it was cool growing up watching people on TV.
Jean-Claude Van Damme, kickboxer.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, what's the other movie? Umbak?
Yeah. Well, see, but that's a Muay Thai movie. I hadn't seen that at the time yet.
No?
No. I don't even know if it was out at the time. But so we did some research, and one of my friends found out about Muay Thai, and he showed it to the rest of us, and we were like, fuck yeah, this is cool. Let's try this. And we had another friend who still trains with me now in my gym. He recommended we go to his school. He had been doing it for a while, a Muay Thai school.
Okay.
We went to check it out, and we all signed up that same day.
Oh, you were sold.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I know when it comes to doing any type of sport, it takes a lot of discipline and dedication. I mean, I seen that, you're also into cars. You have a nice tricked out car. Personally, I like your car.
Thanks, bro.
You're a biker like myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, I find it amazing. Like, how do you utilize that time, bro?
What time?
Oh, well.
No, I mean, like, what's your question? You mean back then when I was training a lot, or do you mean now?
Well, both, actually.
So, dude, back then I didn't have a lot of money. My whole paycheck would go to the membership. I would just drive my piece of shit car to the gym, and I would train. It was my escape from reality. I didn't like how I was living.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do that now. Like, it's normal. You go to the gym to fucking not remember.
Escape.
Yeah, you don't want to know about the problems you got with your girl or the bills you got to pay or the fact that you've been telling yourself you're going to sign up for school again, but you keep putting it off. Like all that shit weighs on you. Yeah. And so people pick up hobbies to not have to deal with the bullshit because they're not happy in this rat race and the shit that comes with it.
I like that, man, because not only did you, fight, you're a coach too. So like, being that you've been doing it since you were 20 years old, how old are you now?
35.
35. Okay, so you got a decade over on your belt.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see, like, when you look at students, do you see, like, people, like, a calling that are naturals at it? Or is something that, like, when people basically get involved, they have to want it? Or do you reach out to, like, students?
So just to verify, I understand the question. You're asking if I find people that are super into it? Or you're asking, do I find that people come in really about it and they are disciplined and motivated and bust their ass at it? Mm-hmm. Or if I'm finding people who come try it and I kind of have to push them to become better?
Well,
Is that what you're asking?
No. Let me rephrase my question. My apologies. You know how, like, they say you're a natural?
Yes.
So you have an eye out for that because you fight. So, like, when it comes to certain students, like, do you see that certain students that come in that are naturally gifted and that you focus on?
Yes.
How do you approach that? How do you...
So I think a lot of it has to do with you get like an adult, like when I started, like in their 20s, they come in here and they're like, I want to try this shit. And you see them on the first day, you'll be able to tell if they move well or not. Because it's a lot of it is coordination. So like I give an instruction and it'll be like, move your body this way. And sometimes people have the image in their head, I have to move like this. And they think that they're moving like that and their body's not doing the same shit. Because they don't know how to move their body. They're not comfortable in like the car that they're driving, for instance.
I can understand that.
So the people that are naturals, they just grew up playing soccer, running around, using their bodies, like the swimming. So anytime that anybody comes in and they're really fucking good right off the bat, I'll be like, what did you used to do? And it's typically like, oh, I used to be a swimmer in college, or I played soccer my whole life, or I played basketball.
Yeah, there's some type of activity that enhanced them to be above average.
Yes.
I mean, well, so with Muay Thai, it's basically it's a combination between kicking and punching, correct?
And elbows and knees and this thing called the clinch, where you grab the person and you tap. You watch boxing?
Yes.
All right, in boxing they clinch. Yeah. They'll like hug themselves. They'll hug each other, I mean to say.
Yeah, if they're tired or
yes.
Or they try to swing the person around so they can get an open shot.
Right, or to get out of the corner or whatever it is. In Muay Thai you can clinch, but in Muay Thai while you're clinching, you're allowed to throw elbows, knees, and throw the person on the ground. There's sweeps involved.
I'm not a violent person. So that whole combination, I find that very interesting because, mind you, I only seen boxing and, UFC, believe it or not, it's old, but it's still young. Like martial arts used to be one of those things, like very select few people would actually get involved into that. Now it became mainstream where there's all types of martial arts, jiu-jitsu, karate, taekwondo, Muay Thai. Where do you align yourself? Like, where do you rank Muay Thai? Is it like the best fighting style in your opinion? Do you think karate? Like, where would you?
I think it's unfair to say that one is better than the other. Right now, Muay Thai is really popular. Kind of like how karate was popular in the 50s through the 70s. I think there's phases for all that shit. But if you look at the UFC, there's guys that use Muay Thai as their primary striking art, like Israel Adesanya, and have success with it, and he's really good. Yeah. And then there's guys that use, and women, by the way, that use karate as their primary foundation. Striking, like Wonderboy Thompson. And they're also really good. So it's not fair.
Put it in one category. It's a mixture of everything, pretty much.
Yeah, and they're all cool, dude. Like we got one of our coaches, Josh. I think you've met him. He works with us now. He did private training with me for like 5 years while doing classes, and then he got started competing, and now he works with me as one of our coaches at our school. He came from a karate background,
Okay.
Yeah.
I know that when it comes to any type of sports, it's a learning experience, and I agree with you. You just can't alienate it to one. Obviously, your favorite is Muay Thai.
I just kind of ended up here, but because it's fun, yeah. And like I liked it when I did it, and guess what? Like fucking years later, I'm still doing it. But the same shit could have happened with karate, or I might have gone to a taekwondo school, and 16 years later, I'd be doing taekwondo. I don't know.
I think it's crazy because say that your foundation is Muay Thai, and then you have, when it gets to groundwork, it switches to jiu-jitsu. Like, to retain all that information here is what I find fascinating. What scares me about your sport, though, I seen some brutal kicks. Like, I gone on YouTube, and I'm like, oh,
yeah.
is he dead? Like, you know, like, they're, let me ask you, I understand that every martial arts has, like, a signature move. What is the signature move for Muay Thai?
Oh, man, I don't know. It's known as the art of the 8 limbs. So you got your fists, and you've got your elbows and your knees and your shins for your kicks. Mm-hmm. I think what defines Muay Thai would be the fact that it's very complete versus having like a one specific thing. You get what I'm saying?
No, I get an idea of it.
Typically, when you see like traditional artwork of like a silhouette of a person practicing Muay Thai, they'll show you the person throwing a kick or a knee. But a big thing that defines the sport is also elbows. And they also box in the sport. And a cool thing about it is...
It's a combination of everything.
Yeah.
So my team did research because I had to learn about this. You know, I don't want to just go off what I see. I like to, you know, dive deep. So I found out the British, you know, during colonizing times, basically they incorporated that boxing, English boxing, into their formal art, and they call it dance fighting because the structure of Muay Thai is very internalized. Like it's really deep into the culture, and you see all types of calibers of men and women. And I find that fascinating because, again, just like you said, you can't really alienate it to just one side. The fact that you have so many combinations, how do you defend yourself to that? Because in boxing, you know, you only use your hands. Now, when it comes to Muay Thai, you're using your knees, your elbows, you know. How do you prepare yourself for that? Like when you're fighting, like, I don't understand. Again, I'm not a fighter, so that's why I'm asking.
You know how like, I guess that's kind of the same thing as like what you were referring to before, where you're like, I don't understand how you guys remember all these techniques in MMA, for instance. You got all of jiu-jitsu to worry about and all of Muay Thai and whatever. And now you're asking about it's pretty much the same question with defense. And it's kind of like you and I are having a conversation right now. And you're using a shit ton of words to communicate what you want to say to me. If you just think of your use of the English language as the use of martial arts, and each word is a technique. How old are you?
I'm 37.
Okay, cool. So we're almost the same age. It took you 37 years to get to the point where you can talk without having to think too hard about what you're going to say. It just comes out, right?
Yeah.
Same way as that, like you drove here and you don't have to think too hard about getting from your house to here. It just kind of fucking happens nowadays. You remember when you were 16 taking your like driver's ed course and you're fucking sweating and you're like holding that steering wheel hard as fucking. You're like, how do I make the left?
Yeah, my asshole's tight as hell. Cause it's like, yo, if I mess up, this is it.
And you brake and you brake too hard and the car shakes, or you gas and it's too much gas, and you kind of feel that you figure out with time and reps the nuances, and now you can drive on autopilot, and now you can speak on autopilot. It's the same shit. You practice and you put the reps in, like you wrote your letters and your words and your alphabet.
It adapts into your system.
And one day you can move without thinking about it.
I would basically compare it to a motorcycle. Because you ride, I ride. It's like you said, in the beginning, you're all over the place.
Nervous as fuck.
But then you get to a point where you turn on that bike, you know, if it turns on a certain way, it's like, nope. Like you're one with it. And I find that so amazing because it's a skill set, but also it's unique to me because you turn your body into a machine. You're literally a weapon, you know. Now, do you feel it's important for people to learn some type of form of defense?
Well, I'd be biased as fuck if I said yes, and I'm gonna say yes. Yeah, you gotta like. I don't think everyone has to fight. I don't think you should fight. I think fighting is stupid.
Okay.
But there's dumbasses out there. And
Yes, there is.
So I don't even think you need to know how to fight in order to use it. I think that when you come to train with us, for instance, you're going to learn your ABCs, how to throw the punches, how to throw the kicks, and you're going to learn how to block them. And it feels like you're juggling more balls than you're used to juggling until you get comfortable with it, right? And then eventually you got to learn how to implement that stuff. So you start sparring, which is like practice fighting.
But is this...
I'm going to get to your point. So you spar is like you're throwing punches at the person, but they don't know what punches are coming typically. It depends on what type of sparring you're doing. And hopefully your training gets you to put your hands up and block the right punches. Or they throw a kick and you didn't know it was coming, and hopefully your training is good enough that it led you to the point where you can block that kick now, right? At first, it feels your adrenaline kicks in, fight or flight kicks in, you're scared, you're nervous, first day, first month, first year of sparring. Depending on the how hard you're going, which in my opinion you shouldn't go too hard too often, and the caliber of the person you're training with, it's going to be a little scary, and you get used to being scared.
A little bit.
Yeah. And then what happens is the fear goes away with time. And what happens is you stop feeling those adrenaline rushes, and then you're calm and collected in that chaos. And so now what used to be fucking terrifying is like, it's just another day. And so then what happens is one day some asshole might be trying you, or you might be a woman and they might be like bothering you or whatever. And instead of feeling that fear that freezes you and you get nervous and you don't know what to do, and then you might end up being in a situation for longer than you needed to, and now you can't get out of it, you'll know, like you'll feel confident enough in your ability, and you've been uncomfortable enough in your life doing the things that we practice that you don't get emotional, and you're able to reasonably think in an uncomfortable environment. Let me do this to get the fuck out of here. Let me do this to avoid this situation. You get what I'm saying?
You strategically analyze the situation where you're now basically able to navigate instead of being all over the place in a state of shock.
Yeah, exactly. It's to avoid that fear and that locking up.
You know what that reminds me of? Remember the movie Wanted?
What?
That's one with Angelina Jolie with the shooters with the gun where they could bend the bullets by like yielding the gun.
Oh, dude, I never saw it, but I remember the commercial. So yes, that sounds cool.
The reason why I bring that up is because the way you describe it is like when you're in it in the beginning, it's like, and then from getting experience, it goes from that to focus now, or like the Matrix with Neo.
You can start seeing shit. Yes.
You know, and that's something I find very cool because again, I'm 37, but I'm still a kid, bro. Like, I look at fighters, I'm like, bro, like, I wish I would have got into it, especially before my accident, because, you know, I'm limited now because I got hardware in the body. But when I see you coaching those kids at your studio, I find it very amazing because you're so passionate about it. Like, I find that most coaches are selfless. You know, and you're saving people's lives realistically. Because like you said, it's a gateway to get away from all the stress and the pressure from, you know, that society throws on us. So at what point did you feel like, okay, I'm starting this, I'm competing. What made you want to coach?
Damn. I remember early on thinking like, this is really cool. I think about 5 years in, I was thinking like, I'd like to start helping teach this. Like, this is cool. I like everything about the practicing, the learning the new moves, the meeting the new people. And then when it's when you're training in that type of environment, new students tend to come in and sometimes you partner up with them. And there's almost like, in my opinion, it feels like there's an obligation as a student who's been there for so long and has learned from others who have helped you. There's an obligation to kind of guide them and help them. So you kind of, once you're in it, you're already coaching people from the beginning. You pay forward what was given to you. Yeah. Like you come in, let's say you came into my class today to try a class. I'm going to ask somebody to volunteer to partner up with you that's been doing it for a little bit. And then somebody will raise their hand and they'll go train with you. And that person is not going to get to train that hard that day because they're going to be spending time helping you. They'll be drilling with you, though. They're going to get something out of it. They're going to become a better teacher. And they're also going to get to put their movements into play and their understanding into play. and you'll be learning, right? And so what ends up happening is like that's very fulfilling because you're like, oh, look, I get to help somebody now, like I was helped. And so I remember asking my coach if he could teach me to teach 5 years in.
I believe that requires someone to be extremely humble when you try to take on to that responsibility.
I don't know if I'm that humble. I would like to be, but I don't know. I'm just a regular person.
I could tell you are. Look how you were when we met. You know, you were welcoming. Because there's times, I'll be honest, like, you know, I've gone to, like, Doral. You know, they have a lot of, by Fontainebleau, there's karate, or I believe it's Taekwondo. And sometimes you're just curious, you know? And I guess you could sense people's aura, if they're inviting, if they're on guard. And when, you know, I go in places and it's like, I don't feel welcomed. You know, like, oh, this is a waste of my time. When I went to your studio, you like, yo, come on in. And I was like, yo, you know, like, me?
I think I remember that. You were like peeking through the door from the outside.
Yeah, because
right?
I was curious. I was like, he's letting me come in. Because, again, I don't want to be disrespectful because it's new ground for me, you know? And I understand the intensity and the seriousness of it because just like you're talking about sparring, yeah, I understand sparring, but that's actually fighting too. You know, it's not something you don't, and I don't mean any disrespect by this. You could play basketball, you could play football, you could play golf, but you can't play martial arts. You don't play, like, you ever heard saying you don't play boxing? Mm-hmm. It's gladiator. It's combat. So it's a true passion sport, like where you have to want it, and that's how I look at it personally. Because again, I played football. You know, but also my VP, he does jiu-jitsu and he's nasty at it. And, you know, he'll come to me and, you know, he's like, yo, put your set up. I'm like, listen, bro, I brawl. I'm not a brother. Sorry, if you're watching this, you already know I am a brawler. I am not a fighter, but it's like you said, it's encouraging because just a simple reference of telling me, yo, twist your body this way. It's night and day difference. And I find that so amazing with martial arts because if more people actually got in tune to it, I feel like you get to understand yourself too. Because that's one thing that I realized that was happening with me because every time we would chill, you know, play around, but then I'm like, yo, this dude's going to break my back, or like he's going to, like, let me not play too much, but it's the curiosity. And a lot of people, you know, they start something, but they don't always finish. And when I see you working with your, you know, your students, you're hands-on, like really hands-on. When you asked to be a teacher, what was the process like?
Well, it was like a combination of shit because I had coincidentally just lost my job and I wasn't going to be able to pay for the membership much longer. So I gave them like, hey, by this date, if I don't have a job, I need you to cancel my membership. And then I asked the coach, he wasn't the owner at the time, my coach at the time. I asked him if he could teach me to teach because I've always wanted to. And I had expressed interest in teaching maybe like a year or two prior. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'm unemployed now, so I got time.
Blessing in disguise.
While I'm looking for work, I could come in and help out with the class instead of train since I'm not going to be able to pay for the membership or whatever. And the process kind of looked like he would make me, I would come into class and I would shadow him for a few months. And then eventually it was like, okay, walk around and now help give tips after I teach it, which is something that the coach does too, but I'll just be on the other side of the room so we can kind of manage more of the class.
Filling in the gap.
Yep. And then eventually it was like, all right, let's have you try and teach the kids class. And then, you know, it's not as nerve-wracking teaching 6-year-olds and shit because it's just, you fuck up, they don't know.
I hear that.
You get what I'm saying?
I hear that, yeah.
And,
it's like, you mess up, they're like, they don't pick it up.
Yeah,
but for an adult, it's like, man, this dude don't know what he's doing.
Yeah,
bro.
or
like,
this drill feels weird, or when are we ever going to
Yeah.
use this? Now the kids are like, hell yeah, let's do it. And then practicing on the kids, eventually he had me teach one of his adult classes, and he just watched or participated, I don't recall which one, or both. He was watching me while he was in the class training.
So literally the student became the teacher.
Yeah. And then he would give me tips while I'm doing that, and yeah, that was it. That was the beginning of it. And then that turned into me offering my friends and family, like, yo, I'll train you at like this park for $20 for the hour or some shit, you know, hold pads. And I started doing personal training on the side to like learn how to do personal training.
So you really seek this out. You were by any means necessary. You love this.
Well, I remember thinking, I hate my life.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on. Double back. Let's tap into that. Not too deep, but to give context to your devotion to, you know, martial arts. Why you hated your life at that point, right?
Well, I mean, look, I'm grateful. I always was grateful. I just mean like everything sucked, bro. Like I was so. This was.
How old were you at this point?
25 maybe, I think.
Can I be honest with you, bro?
Yeah.
Us as men, I firmly believe we go through stages in life, right?
Is 25 supposed to suck?
Yeah, I believe it is. Because it's like, think about it. As we get older, we become more knowledgeable, right?
Right.
When you are more knowledgeable, we know what we want. And that's when reality sets in. It's like, damn, I want to go here, but yada yada, this is in the way, and it could discourage the crap out of you. And no disrespect, but ignorance is bliss. My circle, the ones who are not so, you know, sharp, they're the happiest, you know, because they're not, like, the smarter you are, the more likely you are to become, you know, irritated, because it's like you're so focused on knowing what you want, but the obstacle sometimes make you feel defeated before you even get started. That's why I ask you, like,
it goes both ways, man, because I think that the more you learn, like if you're, the more emotionally intelligent you are, the more you'll be able to understand why it is that you're feeling certain ways, and the more you'll be able to, like, there's a process. You got to figure out what it is that bothers you, and once you know, then you can start working on it, right? What bothered me back then was the fact that I lived in Miami. Everything was expensive, and I was making garbage money, and school was not for me. So I dropped out of college, and I barely made it out of high school, and I went to summer school every single year from 5th grade till I graduated high school barely. And it always felt like I just didn't, like I was less than.
Honestly, between me and you, I have the same similar story.
Yeah.
And I get you on the sense where you don't feel like you're, what's the best way to describe it? You don't feel like you're a good addition to society. You feel like
I couldn't contribute. I was just a pawn.
Exactly. And you sometimes could feel like a burden to those that you love, because it's like, you know, you're like, Jenny, I love you, my sister. She's an RN, you know? And I'm looking at her like, yo, you know what you want to do with your life. You have a sense of direction. I'm just here like an amoeba. Like, what is going on? Like, how do I get control? And it literally shut me out, because I would be in a group, you know, a room full of friends, and I still feel by myself, because it would just dawn on me, and I didn't have a location to go.
That's it right there. That part that you're talking about, the lack of aim. Since I didn't graduate, I've been told my whole life I need that piece of paper to be successful. I need to go to school, you know? And I fucking hated school since like 1st grade.
Yeah, me too.
Dude, it sucked. Being stuck in a room, I was always talking, getting in trouble, detention since I was little, getting my parents called to the office. Like, school was not for me. And so I just grew up failing and feeling like a failure. And the only thing that ever made me feel good was martial arts, skateboarding, everything outside music, like everything outside of school.
Everything that we was told was a distraction. That there's
right. There's no future in this. Yes. And so I remember, going back to like being 25 and miserable, you know, like I'm living in an efficiency. There's rats in the ceiling. My landlord bitches at me for running the AC too long. But the AC is the only thing keeping the unit cool, because there's no insulation in the illegal efficiency he built that I'm living in.
Oh, wow.
I have a piece of shit car that's 20 years old. They can go at any time. I'm living paycheck to paycheck, not by choice. I was budgeting. I was being disciplined with the money. It was the only way to fucking survive. And the little bit of scrap of money that I had was going to the occasional colada, which was like 60 cents back then, right? And
Don't even give me the little cups, bro. Just give me the whole thing.
dude, literally the only fun thing I would do is I'd go fucking train. It was $150 at the month, and it was like I gave all of my extra money to that, and it would give me something to do, something to aim for. I'd get out of work, I'd go straight there. I'd get to socialize. I'd get to work out. I'd get to feel good because I'd see progress.
You get to love yourself.
Yeah, get to feel loved because everything fucking hated me.
Man, I know you do martial arts. How you're talking is how I feel about riding motorcycles. Like,
cool.
A lot of people, you know, even now because of my accident and whatnot, it's like, that's my escape. You don't understand. I don't think people realize the battles that go in on our head, that's internal. They don't stop. We have to find a way to dismiss them, whether it be martial arts, whether it be riding, some way to keep ourselves occupied. Because when you're alone with your thoughts, bro, things go sideways, man.
No, man. If you're talking about escapism now, I think that if there's shit that's bothering you, those thoughts, you need to confront them, not run away from them.
So yeah, I'm learning.
The shit that I was feeling was that I'm not good enough. And the shit that I was feeling was like, you're never going to have enough money. It's an unrealistic thought in Miami, in this society, in like this new world. Like, and you fucked up already. You didn't go to school. And I had to confront all that shit. And so to go back to that original question that spiraled into like, because I don't want to be here anymore. You know, like I'm good now. It's still hard, but I'm good. Like I don't feel these things anymore.
I'm happy for you.
Thank you, bro. I hope you're not feeling them. If you do, fight them. Because you got to fight it. You can't just like try to hide it or run away from it because it won't go away. You got to confront that shit and do something about it, and then it goes away. But I remember thinking like, okay, I worked at Best Buy, a Geek Squad, right?
Really?
Yeah, I used to drive all the way to Aventura, and I lived here in Country Walk, which is
shit.
It was an hour and a half in traffic.
That's a hell of a commute.
Yeah, so I did that. I worked at CompUSA, Tiger Direct. I was a computer technician at a time. I was a security guard. I'd basically take any fucking job you can give me, right? But some of them were my interest. Computer tech was my thing. You know, I was into computers and video games and all that. But there were moments in my life where I'd just take what you can give me. I delivered food for a while, shit like that. And I remember thinking like, all right, I'm not making any money doing things I don't like to do anyway, like fucking sweeping floors at a pizza shop or delivering catering food. So I might as well not make any money doing something I like to do. So that was my thought process behind becoming a coach. It's like, if I can make enough money to just fucking survive and I'm enjoying this while enjoying the process of training, then I have nothing to lose. So I literally gave it everything I had. And that I remember around that time, I had found a shit job I didn't want around that time. And I remember thinking, okay, there was a moment where I almost couldn't pay for rent the next month. I was living with a friend at that point, like later on. And I thought I was going to sleep in my 1996 Miata, which is a two-seater convertible, and it would rain inside the car. And it's two-seater, so you can't even lay it back.
Brother, you are my height. Oh, listen, I'm 6 foot, bro. When I worked on Miatas, I had to take the seat out.
Yeah.
Oh,
I remember
wow.
thinking like, oh shit, I'm going to have to like throw everything I own away and just sleep in my car for a couple months while I figure out how to get another place and make money again.
And at the back of your head, you're thinking about school. That's also a weight on you.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't go away until you're okay, and then it's like, oh fuck that, I never needed it in the first place. That's how I feel now. But so I ended up finding a gig just in time. I broke even paying rent. I just ate very cheaply for a few months, and I remember feeling like I'm gonna do whatever the fuck it takes to never feel that again. Like there's no amount of suffering that'll hurt as much as not knowing if you're gonna be able to pay for rent. Yeah. So I was working full time as at a catering, as like a delivery boy at a catering company, and I searched for like 6 months to try to build up my resume, find a martial arts gym that was hiring coaches. Because at that point I was already like 2 years into practicing teaching, and I was still fighting at the time. And I was like, if I can get my fucking foot in the door, then I can put in my resume that I'm a coach at this gym. Then other gyms will hire me later. And the only gym that hired me was in Pinecrest. No, not Pinecrest, Pembroke Pines, sorry.
Oh, all the way up there.
Yeah, yeah.
And you're here in Country Walk.
So at the moment I was here in Calusa, which is also in the same area, the Kendall. So I would wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I'd get to the catering delivery place at 7 a.m. I'd drive all the way up to Sunrise and drive back and pick up their deliveries and all that. And I'd get back around 3 p.m., help them with the food till 4 p.m., clock out, and then I'd drive an hour and a half up the turnpike to Pembroke Pines. I would train because I was competing, so I would get to the place where I was working.
And you're competing?
Yeah.
Oh, talk about devotion, bro.
So I would drive up there. I'd get to the gym around like 5:30, and I'd change and work out for about an hour and a half, and then I'd clock in and teach a class at 7 p.m. till 8:30, and then I'd sometimes, if I got lucky, they'd throw a personal training session my way from 8:30 to 9:30, and then I'd drive an hour back home, so I'd get home around 10:30. I would eat dinner, go to sleep by midnight, wake up at 6 a.m., do that shit all over again. And that's how I got started teaching. And they paid me garbage. So the amount of money I was paying in gas and tolls was the same amount of money I was making. So I was doing it just to have it on my resume and to gain experience. Oh, wow. It was good.
Yeah, but
it was good.
That's a critical moment, man, because it's like you can't be at peace, at least for me. Like, I don't see how if I was in that situation, I wouldn't have a calm moment, because it's like there wasn't
a calm moment. There was, it feels like you're out at sea and you're swimming towards an island, and you know that if you stop to take a break, you'll drown. So you just keep going.
Oh, shit.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, there's no time to take a break, because if you take a break, you might not pay for rent next month. Like, this was supposed to be an investment in my future. And it was.
Were you single? Do you have kids? I'm like, I'm sure I want to, bro. That's I gotta commend you, number one, because that's, again, looking at you. You know, I see you. I would have never thought that. You know, like, I'm like, oh, he's a regular Joe like me. But your story, I'll be honest, you motivated me right now, because it's like,
I don't think it's that. Like, everybody's going through this shit, dude.
Everybody's going.
I'm sure you're going through this shit, or have gone through it. Everybody's got fucking.
You're the reason why I say you're somebody's worse.
What do you mean?
So you know how they say, oh, somebody has it worse than you, right?
Nah, dude. No. I'm not. No. Because I put myself in that situation. I didn't have to be that uncomfortable. I could have not fucking spent the 30% left after my work day working more and training. That's all a choice. Remember, nobody put a gun to my head and said, you have to still fight, and you have to go drive an hour and a half to go get experience and come home near midnight. Like, no, that was like, I want to do this because I don't want to do what I'm doing forever anymore. I want to be a teacher one day. So, like, I wasn't a bad situation, man. I put myself there. It was me trying to get out. I could have stayed comfortable. I could have worked my catering job, my 7 a.m. to 4, and then gone home and played video games and chilled and scratched my ass, and I didn't. But I could have, and it would have been okay. Later on, that catering job went out of business, and I was left unemployed. So it's a good thing I didn't, because the whole thing I was doing for the year and a half or two I was working there while also coaching led to me getting the job at UFC Gym, which is where I stayed for a big portion of my career. And basically that place developed the foundation that led me to being able to open my own business now. But I'm not anybody's worst, bro, because I didn't have to be there. I did that to get the fuck out, and it worked.
Well,
you talk about work, like, we're in the U.S., dude. This is Disneyland. My worst is chill.
Yeah, that's true.
My worst is chill, dude.
Like, when I think about, like, Haiti or Venezuela right now, listen, whether you like it or not, we are very privileged here. We're not fighting for our lives in the manner that other people around the world are. And it's not to discredit what people are going through. It's just to take acknowledgement of saying, okay, at least we have something going for us. you know. But even though it was a choice, you know how many people wake up every day to a 9 to 5 and they're miserable? Like
Right.
they're scared to take that leap. I was that same person. Like when I started this podcast, you know, I was working for Best Buy for 17 years, bro. You know, and it's like that's all I known. You know, make yourself useful. Make yourself that way you'll always be able to find something. But I wasn't happy. You know, and I love working on cars. I love working on appliances. But my heart is like I love learning people. I love basically opening up new chapters and understanding, building a community. You know, like that's what makes me happy. I'm a helper. I love to help people and I love to understand and to grow. And mind you, I'm thankful, but it's scary when you say, okay, this is what I want. And you know you're dead set on it and you're not going to give up. And you put yourself through fire and trial. You know, you got to go through the furnace to become, you know, solid, man. And I see you and it's like, yeah, it was your choice. But there's so many people who are so scared to take that leap. And you're literally proof that if you stay with persistence, you'll get there. I'm proof of that too. So that's something to be amenable. Like, I congratulate you, bro.
Yeah, you too. Congratulations.
Thank you. You know, like, being an entrepreneur, it's not for the weak, but it's like you said, it comes down to a choice, you know, and believe it or not, you're changing lives. Like, again, you welcomed me and I'm like intrigued because it's like, damn, man, like
that thing that, all right. So I told you, like, I told you I hated everything. Right. But the only thing that ever made me feel good, like, I remember it's like there was like a turning point when I first started training, having my coach use positive reinforcement. Like, I fucking sucked ass, bro. I'm new. And he'll come by and he'll be like, do this. And then he'll come by later and be like, that's better. That's good. Good job. And it's like, I never heard that shit in school because I fucking sucked at school, right? So
CSI, detention.
Yeah, every day, bro.
We were rebels.
Dude, I would CSI like weeks at a time. And I was like, oh shit, positive reinforcement feels good. Now I want to try to make them proud, so I'm going to try harder, right? And then I realized, well, that helped me stay motivated in the beginning. And then it also helped me stay there long enough to see progress. And I was like, oh, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not stupid. I'm obviously capable of learning and improving. I don't work well in that system.
That system's not designed for those who have free will. That's how I feel.
I don't think it's designed for most people, dude. You just learn to cope. But
you planted the seed.
Well, just feeling that, I was like, okay. I try to give that back now, because
take your time.
Because I needed it. My bad.
Nah. Hey, this is a safe space here, bro.
And they need it. Some of them need it, like I needed it. So yeah, it keeps me going. It's like I'm not doing this for money. I started doing it not for money. And I learned how to make money doing it. But there's the goal, like the way I always see shit is like, if I do the right thing, the money comes because people can sense the care. So I am trying to run a business now, and I got to worry about paying my employees and keeping the lights on in the gym. We're past the point where that's a problem. And even when it was something I had to be concerned with on a day-to-day, the aim was always that, like, if I do the right thing, the people will come, and they do. So
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
I understand how you get emotional about it, and I think that just shows how genuine you are, honestly. And you didn't open a Muay Thai studio, bro. You created a culture, a community.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that you saved lives. Most people, I don't think people understand like how deep that is, because it's like you went through trauma essentially, because you know that's mental trauma, not knowing how you're gonna get by, just knowing what you want, and you're pushing. Because you went through that, you drew up a blueprint to help others, so others who are in that same aspect don't have to get beat up in the same manner that you did. You know?
Yeah, you know what, dude? Like, I try to... So, like, I'm only here because I coincidentally was at different points in my life, and one of them, like, led me to meet someone, and circumstances led me to ask them for help, like, help me teach. And it just, like, things came together, and I got lucky. Sure, there's a little bit of like my hard-headedness and not willingness to give up and like actually being passionate about the thing, but it could have gone the other way easily if like one or two or three of those things were different. You get what I'm saying? And I just, and then like, look, one of the pivotal moments in my life, one of the reasons that I'm able to be here right now talking to you, I wouldn't have met you if I didn't open that business over there, because we're work neighbors now, right? Mm-hmm. And the reason I'm over there is because I worked at UFC. I strongly believe I wouldn't be successful enough to have made it this far, at least in this timeline, at this point, without first experiencing that shit. That was a fucking, talk about clusterfucks. That's another hard time, right? Yeah. But that place, as horrible as some of the experience was, it was necessary to go through that to learn how to run the business, because I got to deal with and work with some really amazing people there, in the sense that they were motivated and driven and focused, and they knew how to sell. And that's something I had to learn to do, is to sell a product without being a sleazeball, because there were people there that were also doing it like, you know, the typical, you think of salesmen and you think like a guy who's lying to you.
Snake oil.
But it's not. That's not what sales is about. Sales is about finding a solution to your problem.
Yep.
I'm trying, like, I think what I have can be a solution to multiple things, whether you're sad, unmotivated, don't have a focus,
running away from a problem.
Escape. Correct. Yeah, like what I was doing. It was solving a problem for me. And so when people come in, if it works for you, cool. And if it doesn't, no big deal. I don't try to pressure anybody into anything. But if it wasn't for going through UFC, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have made it this far. And not everybody has like those opportunities, or the opportunities are presented to them at times where they can't take advantage of them because they weren't prepared for it. So
an opportunity comes knocking. Some people just can't open the door.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, like, I don't even know how I got here. Helping people. I'm trying to give. I try to give them. Yeah, I remember how I got here. I'm trying to help these guys, and you were saying like guiding them, so that they don't have to suffer like I did. But suffering's part of the fucking thing that got me here. Yeah. So you need to suffer. Like, suffering's part of the education, bro.
Growth is painful. Yeah.
And so like you can't.
I wouldn't say
you can't baby them. You can offer guidance while they're hurting. You gotta let the pain be there, dude.
It's like the analogy with the stove. You gotta let people burn themselves sometimes, because that's the only way they're gonna learn. But you could help them navigate. It's like, okay, you burned yourself. Well, now let me show you how to heal. But you still went through that experience, and I feel like that's what you're doing. Like, yeah, they're still going through it, but you're there to soften the blow, where you don't let them turn themselves into an enemy. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and that's so important, especially in this day and age now, especially as men. You know, there's a lot of things that we deal with that is not talked about, and we have to understand, like, no one's coming to save us. That's something that I had to learn.
What you keep saying this thing like as men, like what in your, you obviously are trying to make a distinction. Am I saying that right? Distinction
Between the two?
between women and men. Yeah.
No. Let me see.
Because I'm asking because every time that you say that, I'm just like, does he not know that women are suffering too?
Women suffer. Don't get it twisted. They suffer in ways that we can never understand because we're not. We're not.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
The reason why I illustrate it that way is as men because we don't talk about it enough. It's not to dismiss what women go through. I could never do that. I was raised by a single mother,
Yeah, it's rough, dude. Just single parenting in general.
I don't have kids, but I could honestly, I have nephews. I have a niece. I only have a taste of what it could be like. And the thing is, I always try to alienate it, difference between male versus female, because I personally feel, this is just my opinion, we don't talk about our struggles enough to show, there's a safe space. Just because you're going through something, you're not alone. It doesn't mean to differentiate from what women go through. They are going through their battles too. But for some reason, we're taught, you're a man, you got to handle it on your own. I don't believe that. I believe in brotherhood, and that's why I basically say as men, we don't open up. We harbor this, internalize it, and we alienate ourselves sometimes without realizing it. Not to say that women don't do it. It's just I focus on that because that's where I see the problem is. When I look at young kids, like I was at the Wawa, and there's bikers there.
Yeah, that's like the young kid spot now, right?
So I'm just like, they're on their bikes, and I know something's wrong. I'm like, yo, what's up, man? He's like, none. I'm like, that's a nice bike. And we start talking and whatnot. They're staying there because there's a cop next door, like, how they park up there?
Yeah,
in
like, the corner.
And he's like, yeah, I don't got my license.
Oof.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But talking to him, it's like we were once there. Like, we were those kids, or we were like sponges, and it's like, I want to help you navigate. And it takes selflessness and understanding, like, okay, I was once that age. How do I help? What did I need back then when I was that age that I could do now? And that's what I try to,
That you're on the same path that I'm on, because that's what I'm trying to do is just give them what I didn't fucking have that I needed.
Yeah. And it's funny you say that because I have a viewer, Sergeant from, I believe, Russia. She's like, why do I always differentiate? When it comes to women, I'm going to be very honest. I get irritated because I don't feel, especially in this day and age, women understand how special they are. I don't think they realize how much power they actually have. We live in Western, we're Westernized, but at the same time, single mothers, their trauma they go through. We have a luxury as men. We had a topic where if you could trade, sex for a day, like if you could be a girl for a day or a guy for a day, what would you do? And Nate, she goes, I would go running at night. I was like, that's what you would do,
Yeah,
and
then
she's
that
like,
male privilege. Like, we don't worry about that shit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about it. It's like, if we don't talk about it, it kind of goes sweep under one. No, we got to talk about that, because the only way we get to work together is to acknowledge what's going on. And we have to basically talk about certain things that may be uncomfortable. But if we don't acknowledge it, we end up repeating ourselves, or we end up falling in suit, and things don't get better. They only get actually worse. So, like, with my sisters, it's like, yo, you have power. You have power. Me being raised by my mom, my mom is my hero. My grandmother is my hero. That unconditional love I felt from that's what made me the person I am now. And I just wish that women would understand, like, not all guys think this way. There's a lot of messed up people in the world, but there's also good people, and we have to basically be able to explain that and give context to it. Because she's watching the show, she's like, are you mad at women? I was like, I'm not mad at women. It's just that I want women to understand that, there's still good men out here. There's good men out here who have your back, who are not sexist, who are not trying to, hold you down, ridicule you, or judge you. I'm no one to judge, bro. I don't live my life. But also, at the same time, as a man, I have to look out for my camp too. And my thing is, especially with my mental process, I suffer with depression and anxiety, PTSD. Men's mental health is something that catches my attention. Like I did a 22 push-up challenge for the military, and a lot of suicides are mostly men. A lot of issues don't get talked about. If we were able to talk to each other, we would basically be able to grow as one. There wouldn't be you wouldn't be considered weak for being emotional. Just like, if you cry, men don't cry around their boys. Well, I got taught different. My mentor is Bert, telling you, chasing my dreams, I have battled myself in the mirror and cried. But when you have a safe place where you could cry to somebody that you trust and they console you, it changes who you are. It lessens the blows. It doesn't mean things get easier, but you don't feel alone anymore. And it's like the same thing with your school. You have people who have these internal battles. We don't know what's going on. We only know what they tell us. But you're giving them an outlet where they could actually just be at peace. Find peace in chaos. We live in a chaotic world. And you have a structure that allows people to find peace in the chaotic world, especially with yourself. And I respect that highly.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Speaking of families, do you have kids?
No.
No? Do you want kids?
It's complicated.
I'm just going to give you a fist bump on that one.
Nah, look, dude,
it's complicated.
I think about having kids, and it sounds awesome. And then I hang out with my family's kids, and I'm like, fuck this shit. I want to be able to fucking ride my motorcycle and go train with my boys. And
bro, I'm selfish as hell. You think I want to share food?
I already got I got kids over there. That's school. Those are all my kids. I don't care if you're 60 or you're 6. You're my kid.
I love that. I love that.
So... And dude, I got 2 dogs, and they're already enough work. So
you have 2 dogs?
Yeah, and I imagine, bro, if dogs are this much work, like feeding them and taking them to the doctor and having to play with them so they have a good time, and then they fucking might have a little pit bull, dude. And she cries when she doesn't get to sleep with us on the bed at night. So she sleeps with us every fucking night. And I'm like, bro, if I had a fucking kid in the next room crying in a crib, dude, and I didn't get my sleep before teaching the next day, I'd fucking hate my life. I can't do this. The kids deserve better. Like, I'm not at a point in my life where I'm willing to make those sacrifices, so I won't.
Hey, that's real. Shout out to all the parents out there.
Yeah.
Shout out to the parents. Can we do a wide view?
I'm sorry, Mom. Dad, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Pops. Listen, I understand I was hard-headed. I apologize. Because, it's not for the weak.
Yeah.
But, I have a cat. I'm a cat person.
I like cats, too.
I like big cats, though. Like, if
you
I
don't
could.
like kittens? Like little cats?
I have a cat. His name is Wally. He's like a dog. Like you go to the house, he's like, pick me up. Like it's trippy.
I love that.
But it's like he's like a teenager versus my sister's dog is a child. Like when it rains, this boy's shaking and I have to hold him. And you feel bad, but it's like, man, I'm tired. Like, if it's raining, you got to rush home.
Cats are independent, dude. They don't give a fuck.
They're assholes.
Yeah.
But with a
cats.
dog, it's like you could be teaching a class. In the back of your mind, it's like, I got to get home to my baby. It's a big responsibility. So imagine a whole human life, But being that you're in a relationship, circling back to, martial arts, do you feel it's important for people to be able to defend themselves and learn some type of defense?
Yeah, I think it's beneficial.
Because I had, my team looked it up. The business of martial arts is expanding in a way that most people don't realize. To show you, it's basically projected to grow to 9.5 billion. And that was written in 2020.
What's it at now?
Let me see. It is now. Sorry, we're on the fly here.
No, man, it's all good. I mean, this is important information.
Yeah.
I'm all about growing the business, so It'd be good to be in this market if it's actually going to take off.
Well, yeah, because think about it. With the way that the world is working now, defense is important. Like, you know, mind you, some people are like, well, I don't need to learn how to fight. I got a gun. I'm like, you're not always going to have a gun, you know? But the projection is 9.5 billion, but in 2021, it was 2.3 million people participating in mixed martial arts, which generated 8.6 billion for 2020.
So like $1 billion increase.
It's about $2 billion increase.
$2 billion?
So imagine that. Now, it's also used in law enforcement. It's used in fire.
I think the UFC is responsible for
training.
For all this shit, right? It's like what's popular in the U.S. now.
Yeah.
So it's probably bringing the attention to all these kids, and they all want to try it.
Because overseas it's MMA, here it's UFC.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of times, like,
there's this promotion called ONE FC. Do you watch?
No.
They're
I have to look that up.
They're an overseas promotion competing with UFC.
Mm-hmm.
I like it better. You should check it out. They do MMA, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu matches, all on the same card on the same night. So you might be watching a Muay Thai fight, one fight, and then that fight ends, and then they're doing Jiu-Jitsu, and it's just two dudes rolling on the ground trying to choke each other out, and then that fight ends, and then it's it's MMA, and then it'll go back to Muay Thai depending on like who's fighting. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out. I'm gonna get that information. And before we close out, I have some questions. What is a message you would like to say to the youth, given the context of your story and what you've gone through?
I don't know. I'm not too good at coming up with stuff on the fly. Like, so don't hold me to this if it sounds weird or whatever. But I guess if you're growing up and you feel like you're not doing well, one thing to do is to keep trying and see if it changes. And the other thing is, if this doesn't work out, go find something else. But you're definitely going to find something out there for you as a kid. Because that sounds kind of vague. Talking to a kid, they're going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? But it's just don't give up.
Don't give up.
Yeah. I almost gave up at one point. I felt like I was giving up. I don't know. Like, I became complacent with the idea of, like, this is just my status in society and this is where I belong. And it fucking made it out. So if you find something you like, you know what? Don't worry about the money. If you find something you like, you actually give a fuck. Yeah, and I curse to kids, okay? Like, I think it's okay for them to curse.
So does Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah.
Let's go.
If you find something you like, don't let anybody tell you shouldn't be able to do that as a living. Go find a way to fucking do that for the rest of your life. You'll either make enough money to just get by and you'll be happy, or you'll make a shit ton of money because money's coming your way for the right reasons. And you'll have both. But there's nothing worse than dedicating your life to doing something you don't give a fuck about, even if it pays the bills. It's so unfulfilling. You'll just be sad in your house. You'll fucking spend your paychecks trying to feel good. Like, you work and you bust your ass and you hate your life and you don't got time to spend with anybody, and then you come home and you got a bunch of money and you're going to go on Amazon and you're like, let me buy this PS5, let me buy these video games, and then the things come on, you don't got time to play them, and then you play them and you're like, I feel empty inside. Like, it's not going to help you. Go fucking do something you like.
Follow your passion. Find your drive.
Yes. Go do something you like.
Success is like beauty. It's in the eye of the beholder, baby. Straight up. Now, last thing. What do you... Let's see. Let me ask this question the right way. For people who think it's too late for them, like myself, I'm 37. You know, I don't think I could kick. I might bust my ass.
You're
if I try
still
to
a baby, bro. I'm 35. I feel like I don't know shit. We're young.
We're young. My body ain't.
Yeah, I hear you.
But for adults, as we were talking, who find themselves in that predicament between being responsible, having that job, chasing their dreams, what advice would you give them?
Just work on your free time.
Just work on your free time.
Yeah, what the fuck? You got a 9 to 5 that's paying your bills and you're not happy? So you use your fucking time where you'd be home jacking off, playing video games, eating McDonald's, like the shit that you don't need to be doing. Like if you're not happy with where you are right now, you got to do uncomfortable shit. It's the same thing. Like when you let yourself go and you gain weight, you did that being comfortable. You did something, you accrued a debt. It's like having a credit card and you only pay $1,000 a month, but you're spending $10K. Right? Eventually you got to pay that debt back. And that's what weight loss is like. You gained weight spending more of your budget than you had. And now you got to go and save up and only spend money on the budget until you lose weight. So there's suffering involved. The same thing with your fucking, I'm going to use an example. This is a vague one. You're a school teacher out there. Maybe you're not happy with your job, even though it's a fulfilling job. I know they don't treat you guys well enough. They don't pay you enough. This is just an example. You're a school teacher out there. You don't want to be doing this for the rest of your life. You want to get into another field. As soon as you get home, you should do something that's related to the field you're trying to get into until you go to sleep at 10 p.m. or whatever it is. And you do that for a year or two until you are somehow making enough money or you have enough experience to make enough money, leaving the school job and doing the thing you want to do.
Following your drive.
Like you just got to people don't want to be uncomfortable, bro. I was working 3 fucking jobs. I was working 3 jobs when I had that piece of shit Miata and I was going to sleep in it. Fuck. You get what I'm saying? I was doing shit that wasn't making me money. I was personal training. I was doing the catering job, and I was teaching an hour and a half away in a fucking gym that wasn't that good, just to make it happen. I didn't have free time, but that was better than having free time and not being happy with where I am in life.
Yeah,
use your free time to dig yourself out of that hole. That's what I would
100%.
say.
All right, tell them where they can find you, brother.
You can follow me on Instagram, Coach Manny IMT. You can follow the school there too, Instinct Muay Thai Miami, and we're located in the heart of Kendall. Come check us out. First days on the house.
You know I'm going to take you on that offer.
Yeah. You're always welcome.
If you see me with a black eye, he did it. I'm telling you right now, he did it. And it's your boy Logic. You can find me at Logic142 or check us out on the website 1424podcast.com. Let us know how you feel. If you're interested, this is your gateway, man. Find your escape. Find your peace. That's what it's really about. Find your peace. Do what makes you happy. Not what makes others happy. What makes you happy. Because you owe it to yourself. We're here for a good time, not a long time. Make it count. And as you know, this is 1 thing for sure, 2 things for certain. Holla.